I'm Bill Campbell, and I've seen a lot of sporting events in this town in my day. Most of the time, it's been pretty forgettable. But every so often, our local athletes have risen to the occasion and taken the Delaware Valley with them to the top of the world. They were a brawling bunch of Canadians who were accepted as Philadelphians as they skated and fought their way to 2 straight Stanley Cups. A baseball team that featured 2 future Hall of Famers on the field and 1 in the broadcast booth. A football squad that handed a legendary coach his only championship defeat. And a generation of kids whose scrappy play turned an aging arena into a mecca of college basketball. We've all shared these moments when our sports heroes captured lightning in a bottle, if only for a few moments. Let's relive some of those moments, beginning a half-century ago with an Eagles team that rode to glory on the back of the most brilliant runner of his time. Steve Van Buren was a 220-pound halfback drafted from LSU in 1944. He had a unique combination of power, speed, and agility, and quickly established himself as the top runner in the NFL. He played offense, he played defense, he did everything in the era of the 60-minute man.
I played safety. I ran back punts and kickoffs. I led the league in punts and kickoffs one year. I was almost the fastest guy in the league, and, you know, people didn't think I was, but I was.
Eagles head coach Earl Greasy Neal built a powerhouse lineup around Van Buren. Like fellow running back Bosh Pritchard, pass catcher Pete Pihos, and unflappable quarterback Tommy Thompson, all protected by a ferocious offensive line. After losing the championship to the Chicago Cardinals in 1947, the Eagles were poised for revenge in 1948 that had to face not only a tough Cardinals team, but a raging blizzard as well.
They called me at home late, and I said, "You can't play today." And they said, "We're going to play." And I took 3 trolleys to get to the ballpark. Then I had to walk about 4 blocks. And we played, and it was snowing so hard that I couldn't see their safety man.
Before the game could begin, the players pitched in and helped the grounds crew remove snow from the field at Shive Park. Those were different days indeed. The snow continued to fall heavily throughout the game, testing the skill of the players and the fortitude of 28,000 hardy fans.
Couldn't tell when you were out of bounds. They had to guess. The ice is the worst, because you can't stand up. I fell down on the ice. Coming out of the huddle, I fell twice getting to the line of scrimmage.
Not surprisingly, there was no score at halftime. Finally, at the end of the 3rd period, quarterback Thompson ran a sneak to the Cardinal 5-yard line, setting up a plunge by Van Buren to pay dirt, and the only score of the day.
I rolled over it. The snow took me over.
After 60 bone-chilling minutes, the Eagles had their first of 2 consecutive championships as the snow continued to fall on Old Shive Park. As the 1950s rolled on, the Eagles went from champions to also-rans in the NFL. But in 1958, the Birds brought in an old pro quarterback whom they had once beaten for their 2nd straight league title. He was the Dutchman, Norm Van Brocklin, and with the help of 2 young receivers and another old pro, he led the Eagles to the promised land in 1960.
He had had the experience of working with Elroy Hirsch and Tom Fears in Los Angeles, 2 of the greatest receivers that ever played in the league. And so when Van Brocklin would make a suggestion on a pass pattern, or, you were listening very attentively. And usually it turned out that he had some good advice to give you.
The great thing about him is when you would come back to the huddle or on the way back, he would ask you for information. What can you do on the guy? Can you get a post for a touchdown or a corner for a touchdown? That was what was great about him. And you could tell him, and the guy would, you were like a little scout.
The old pro was Chuck Bednarik, who was entering his 11th NFL season in 1960 and was the last of the 60-minute breed.
It really happened in 1960. I decided that at my age, at 35, I was going to play one more year, and that physically the easiest position on the football team is the offensive center. So I became an offensive center, and I think it was around the fourth or fifth game we played the Cleveland Browns in Cleveland. And on the first play of scrimmage, Bob Pellegrini got hit from the blind side, and he was done. And out of a clear blue sky, had no idea, Buck Shaw said, Chuck, he said, get in there. And of course, when the World Championship game came along, Buck Shaw told me ahead of time, Chuck, I'd like you to play both ways.
The Eagles' road to the championship was paved with 2 late-season victories over the arch-rival New York Giants. And the pivotal play in that series involved Bednarik and Giant star receiver Frank Gifford.
Well, it was late in the game. It was about a minute and 50 seconds to go, and of course they got a pass to go down. This pattern is difficult. Down and in. That's murder. You know, here you are. You're looking at the ball coming here, and here comes a Mack truck. And by time, just as you catch it, and you go backwards, your head snaps, and the ball goes in the air, and he's down, and he's out like a light. And I saw the ball pop up, and I saw Chuck Weber recover it. And when he recovered it, unbeknown to me, right behind me was the prostrate body of Gifford. I don't know that he's out. And I turned around, and I went like this effing game is over, and click, they got the picture of me with him standing there. Those are the exact words, because I never gloated over injuring anybody. On their sidelines, their quarterback, Charlie Connolly, you cheap shot, you this, he's calling me names. Now, I said, I'll get you next week. It was a back-to-back game. They got to come here to Franklin Field next week. I said, I'll get you next week. Sure enough, we came here. They scored 16 quick points. We won the game 31-23. But Charlie Connolly never finished the first quarter, second quarter. I harassed him. I kept coming. He pulled away and he dropped the ball and all that stuff. He never got to finish the ball game. I really harassed him. I scared the hell out of him.
On December 27th, 1960, Vince Lombardi led his Green Bay Packers to a frigid Franklin Field to take on the Eagles in the NFL championship game. The Green Bay squad featured such stars as quarterback Bart Starr, fullback Jim Taylor, and runner place kicker Paul Hornung. After trading mistakes for a quarter and a half, Hornung's right foot was the difference in a 6-0 Packers lead. But late in the second quarter, Van Drocklin electrified the 70,000 fans with a lightning strike to McDonald from the Green Bay 35.
All there is ice right there, and I was like on roller skates. Well, I thought everybody was trying to help me up. They wanted the ball. Get the ball, get the ball, get the ball from him, you know. Thinking this guy's, trying to not even helping me up or anything like that. And finally a guard gets over there, and the guard, starts pulling on my arm, and here's this guy pulling on the ball, trying to get the ball. That was funny.
Minutes later, kicker Bobby Walston split the uprights for a 15-yard field goal to give the Eagles a 10-6 halftime lead. After that, the game plan was to keep the Packers' strong running game bottled up.
They were just good. They were great up the middle, and they had that one sweep where Fuzzy Thurston and the guard pulled out, and geez, that blocking, there was like a couple of bulldozers coming at you. So that was the big play for them all the time. Otherwise, it was up the guts.
The strategy worked until the fourth quarter, when Starr hit Max McGee for a 6-yard TD and a 13-10 Packer lead. But on the ensuing kickoff, Eagles lightning struck again. Return man Ted Dean took the kick and sprinted 61 yards to the Packer 39. Several plays later, it was Dean again, plunging in from the 5 to regain the lead at 17-13. But the Packers would not give up. With 8 seconds left, Starr passed to the Eagle 22-yard line, and the fate of the season was down to the last play of the game.
You got to pass, so the ball was snapped, and we all dropped back, and everyone was covered, and then Jimmy Taylor swung out. And, of course, Bart Starr saw nobody, so he threw him the ball, and he started to take off. And I still can recall Don Burrows coming up, and he bounced off him. A couple other guys, and then I actually made this initial stop on the 9-yard line, and then the guys came along, and we knocked him down, and I could still see him laying with his face up against me, and he was throwing some expletives at me to get them off of him. And I could see the clock in that end zone going 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And when it was over, I said, "You can get up now. This game is over." And I never acted like these kids today. I jumped up and down because we were the world champions.
As the jubilant Eagles carried Coach Buck Shaw off the field, no one could know that this was the last time Vince Lombardi would ever lose a championship game.
It was wonderful to be a world champion, for a whole year, and to bring a world championship to the city of Philadelphia.
Hi, I'm Ed Cunningham, and stay with us. There's plenty more yet to come on Philadelphia's fabulous sports memory. Comcast Metrophone salutes the teams, players, and most importantly, the fans who have been there to share Philadelphia's greatest sports memories. Brought to you by Comcast Metrophone.
December 27th, 1960. The last time Eagles fans have seen a headline like this. The closest they've come since then was their only Super Bowl appearance in January 1981. That was definitely not a favorite memory, but how they got there certainly was. In 1980, his 5th season as head coach, Dick Vermeil had taken the Eagles from the bottom to the top of the National Football Conference. After a sparkling 12-4 season, Vermeil and company welcomed America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, to the vet to decide who would represent the NFC in Super Bowl 15.
The Dallas Cowboys were sort of the epitome of the National Football League, so we set them up as the team to emulate and then to beat. And I remember saying specifically right before we went out, if these people take us for granted, we'll kick their ass. And that's exactly what I said to them. And I have never gone on a football field more confident in my life that we were going to win a football game, because I've never been with a group of guys more ready to play a football game from an emotional standpoint.
After stopping Dallas's opening drive, it took the Eagles offense 14 seconds to take this game by the throat.
Second down and 10, the Cowboys with 6 defensive backs. Jaworski gives off inside, running with Montgomery up the right side. Left 30, 25, 40, 15, 10, touchdown!
The Eagles had quickly broken the game wide open, thanks to Montgomery's quickness and his offensive line.
And I was supposed to run the ball off of my left tackle, which was Stan Walters, and Peter Perot, who's the left guard. Somehow, Woody People, who was playing right guard, and Jerry Sizemore, who was our best offensive lineman, made a tremendous block on Too Tall, and Woody People done a great job on John Dutton, allowed me to cut back to the right, see the hole, run through, and never got touched.
The Cowboys' Tony Dorsett plunged to pay dirt midway through the second period. And at halftime, the score was tied at 7. In the second half, the Eagles' defense took over the game.
Our defense, what it did was we didn't wait for an offense to dictate to us. We would dictate to them. So we would go fly into an area, and hopefully one of those 11 guys could handle a guy like Tony Dorsett, Robert Newhouse, or whatever the situation would be.
We felt Dorsett in the cold weather would be more apt to cough up the football, and our plan was to go after him, and legally, as long as he was standing up, there was going to be a green helmet and shoulder pad on him, and more than one. They would swarm and just knock the heck out of him, and maybe we could get him to cough up the football.
And that's just what they made Dallas do in the second half, with quarterback Danny White's cough up leading to a 10-7 Eagles lead. Meanwhile, Montgomery continued to pile up the yards.
You hear all kind of things, 200 here, 200 there, 196 here, 190 there, but it was 194. So that's where that slash and cutback style running came, always looking and keeping the legs moving all the time.
Fullback Leroy Harris played the role of unsung hero, smashing the vaunted Dallas flex defense for 70 yards of his own, including this 9-yard dash to build the lead to 17-7. The Eagle faithful were in a froth.
And they were a big part of the game because, you know, those 68,000 people, they got right into the ball game along with us. And every tackle, every move, every hit, we knew that we had our fans behind them.
When Tony Franklin split the uprights at the 2-minute warning to make it 20-7, America's team was finished.
Going into this game, there was no question in my mind that we were going to beat the Dallas Cowboys. And when the game was all said and done, the Dallas Cowboys knew that not only did they get beat 20-7, but they were annihilated.
The Eagles were NFC champions, and they did it through hard work.
Whatever I did on the field was going to be a great example. People would say, hey, I'm representing the city of Philadelphia. I'm representing the Delaware Valley. And they're saying, hey, we give our all.
They recognize effort, these people do. They recognize effort, and if you give them the effort they'd like you to give them, they're going to be with you. And by that time, they were believers. The fans were believers. The city were believers.